The manicured lawns of St. Petersburg are a long way from Syria's civil war, but what happens here over the next 48 hours could determine the nature of the international response. This was meant to be an economic summit, the world's leaders and top financial ministers already flying in. It will now inevitably be dominated by Syria, and a showdown between the world's two most powerful men. President Obama arrives from Sweden, just days away now from a congressional vote to authorise airstrikes on Syria, in search of consensus and some international cover on the need for military action.
I didn't set a red line. The world set a red line.
President Putin, meanwhile, has said any action without UN backing would be a violation of international law and an act of aggression. He sent 2 more of his Navy's destroyers to the region to underline his point. But for all of the military hardware now accumulating in the Mediterranean, the real battles over the next 2 days will come in the corridors and on the sidelines of this summit. At the G8 in Northern Ireland, the Canadian Prime Minister, who you see arriving here, said it felt more like the G7 plus Russia, that Russia stood alone in its obstruction over Syria. And I think that shows just how much the situation has now changed, that Russia feels vindicated, that others, apparently including the British Parliament, stand with it in opposing military action.
I suspect Putin will be engaging, and indeed his foreign minister engaging some rhetoric with the West, but I think they'll wait to see what the American Congress does, and the more interesting conversations will be after that congressional decision.
The last time the two presidents met, they could barely look each other in the eye, and it's been steadily downhill from there.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Obama described Putin as looking like the bored kid at the back of the class.
Right now we are at a stage when the relations between the two nations are, I would say, at an all-time low since the collapse of the USSR.
That's the starting point. Over the next 2 days in this city, the alliances that are made here and the divisions that remain will form the basis for what happens next on Syria. Katie Stallard, Sky News, St. Petersburg.